ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದಿರಲ್ಲ. ಇಲ್ಲಿದೆ ನೋ ಬೇಡ. ಈ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ
Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. A warm morning to everyone gathered here. I'm Akhilesh T from second year BCom. I'm the host for today's event. We are gathered here to gain knowledge and information about turnaround management, its concept and cases. I take this immense pleasure to welcome you all to the Corporate Connect organized by the Department of Commerce. The department strives to enrich and empower students with academic and practical excellence through various activities. Corporate Connect is one among such new initiative initiated by our principal sir, developed by Nagaraj sir, and implemented by all the faculties of the Department of Commerce. This is the 7th edition of Corporate Guest Lecture Series, and we are grateful to Mr. Vinod Kumar sir for accepting our invitation and gracing today's event as a resource person. Now, I would like to call upon Muskan from second year BCom to welcome the gathering.
A warm and pleasant good morning to one and all present here. Myself Muskan from second year BCom, and on behalf of Department of Commerce of SSMRV College, would like to welcome you all for this event. On this 7th edition of Corporate Guest Lecture, we are happy to have with us an eminent person, our resource person, Mr. Vinod Kumar R, as our chief guest. A warm welcome to you, sir. He is the country controller, India and Sri Lanka, Zebra Technologies. On behalf of Department of Commerce, I extend a hearty welcome to you to this corporate guest lecture. I would like to invite Dr. S. Anil Kumar sir in his absence, the one who acts as a pillar of support and strength with a clear vision and passion, entwined with novelty in all the activities of SSMRV College, our principal, who is also the backbone of our college. I also welcome the head of Department of Commerce, Coordinator IQAC, Dr. M.S. Nagaraj sir in his absence, who is the best supporter of all the challenging ventures taken by our department. A cordial welcome to you, sir. I also extend my warm welcome to second year academic coordinator, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, Mrs. Ume Selma ma'am, who always support us and guide us with her knowledge. Welcome, ma'am. I would also like to welcome our event coordinator, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, Mrs. Anusha N. ma'am. And also all of the faculties of Department of Commerce, volunteers, technical team, and photography team. Lastly, it's my pleasure to bid a genial welcome to all the second year BCom students, adding zest to this learning session with their esteemed presence. Hope you all have a great learning session. Thank you.
Thank you, Muskan, for the warm welcome. Now, I would like to call upon Akshata from second year BCom to introduce the resource person for the day, Mr. Vinod Kumar sir.
Thank you, Akhilesh. Good morning, everyone. I am Akshata, second year BCom E-section. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce today's resource person, Mr. Vinod Kumar sir, for the gathering, who is a country controller, India and Sri Lanka, Zebra Technologies. Mr. Vinod Kumar sir, senior finance and strategy executive, expert in discovering the real story behind the numbers to drive business strategy, foster competitiveness, and propel achievement of strategic financial goals. Sir has completed Chartered Accountancy from Institute of Chartered Accountancy of India, Bachelor of Commerce from Mysore University, Mysore, India. Sir has a training managed clerks across industry segments via hospitality, leisure, pharmaceutical, power generation, construction, packaging, educational institution, and travel agency. Sir has started his career IGATE Global Solutions, Bengaluru, India, as executive in the field of accounts. And Sir has also worked with Reliance Infocom Limited, Bengaluru, India, as senior executive in the field of commercial accounts. Sir has played a major role in team building and leadership, to mention a few. Create capacity within the existing team, integrated the finance team, chairman for the CSR committee, fund management, audit and internal control. In the leadership experience, in the present, Zebra Technologies as country controller, India and Sri Lanka, a turnover of $100 million in the year 2017. Sir is very passionate. Sir is very passionate, personable, highly accomplished, results-driven, financially management leader with a more than 17 years of progressive experience in financial, comprehensive experience in spearheading the finance function of multiple complex contracts with large annual revenue, with experience in improving contract profitability and control procedures and preventing revenue loss. Sir, we are very inspired about all your achievements, and I'm sure all of us are very excited to hear what you have in store for us. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Akshata. As Akshata said, I'm sure you're all very excited as much as I am to hear from Mr. Vinod Kumar, sir. Sir, you're welcome to take over this session.
Share ಮಾಡಿ ಗೂಗಲ್ ಮೀಟ್ ಬಂದು ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು.
ಈ ಕಡೆ
ಸರಿ
ಈ ವಿಂಡೋ
ಶಿವಕುಮಾರ್ ಸರ್
ಬಂತ ನೋಡಿ. ಓಕೆನಾ? ಓಕೆನಾ? ಸರಿ.
Good afternoon. I hope you can hear me at the last. Can you hear me? Yeah. Good. I heard you read a lot of this from my profile. I think I need to edit it. Most of that, I don't even remember doing all that. So I hope all of you can hear me. My name is Vinod, as she introduced me. I'm a chartered accountant. I head the finance for India and Sri Lanka for Zebra Technologies. Today, I was given this chapter subject of change management. I don't know why turnaround management came in one of the introduction. It's about change management. So what I've tried to do is I've captured a little bit on change management, and I'll try to take you through my experience, and we'll also see how much you know about change management. We are living in a world of change. I think that's something which each and every one of us realize. Okay. So we are living in a world of change, which I think every one of us have been experiencing this, and more so in the last couple of years, right? Our way of life, the way we operate, the way we used to shop, the way we used to eat, the way we used to pay has all changed, correct? Can you hear me there? Corner. I'm interested about the backbencher. I used to sit there most of the time. So that's what I used to do. Always get into the back. I used to do what I had to do. Okay. So I'm very concerned about you guys. I hope you hear what I say. These are things which you should know more, because this more comes from an experience. You will face all of this when you get into the industry. This should be interesting for all of you, right? So with this, let me start a little bit onto the PPT which I managed to do overnight and see how much I can interest you. I would like to make this more interactive, because one way is not a very good way of learning, right? I want to see how much you guys know. I want to see how much you guys can speak when you're called upon. And don't make me point to people. You be volunteered, okay? Just get up and tell whatever. Sit down and tell whatever you think is right, okay? Let's make it as interactive as possible. Can we start? Is it okay? There, at the back. Can we start? Okay. Let me start with the question. What do you see here? So what does it say? Can you tell me what it conveys? You're on the road, you're trying to reach some place, you get a red signal. What do you do?
Stop.
So what are you doing? From driving, you're stopping, right? That's a change. Now, why is change management important? One is you need to know what to do when change happens. I would take you a couple of years back, say 3 years back, before COVID period. What were you doing during your free time? You go out, watch a movie, go to the restaurant, have your favorite food, right? What happened after COVID? Or for the last 2 years? I'm not talking about the immediate 6 months, just before that. What happened? Change, right? What did it do to you? Made you lazy beyond that. Good answer, but yes, other than that. Yeah? Spend time with yourself. Really? I thought most of you spend time online. It's a good answer. If you spend so much of time with your family, it's very good, because that's what is missing in today's world, isn't it? So that's a change. Now, what did you do? You adapted to the change, right? But that was a forced change. Nobody planned for this, right? In life, in your student life, even in organizations, certain changes happen which is beyond your control. So what organizations tend to do is they tend to be above the curve. They tend to be above the curve. They anticipate what could be the change. If you don't anticipate change, the change will change you. There's no option, right? We all live in an ecosystem. That's what we live in. And we need to realize this. And the ecosystem is not under your control. There is a government, there is environment, there is issues, there are parent-teachers issues, there are parent-students issues. There are so many issues which matter to all of this. So change is inevitable. So what you need to do, I mean, I'm not speaking just from a company's perspective, it's from a student perspective as well. Please be open for change. Anticipate changes, or they'll change you for sure. There's no other way. You cannot run away from these. So anticipate change. So today's entire discussion is going to be about how do you anticipate change? Why should you do it? And what happens if you do it and if you don't do it? So in simple terms, this is what is change management. Either you change or it will change you. So preempt it. It'll be a better, I mean, it'll be much far better in your control rather than you going with the flow. Okay. So with that, let's go to the next slide. I'm not seeing much participation from your end. I want you to speak. Is there any questions you have about this? No? Okay. Feel free to interrupt whenever you want. Okay. So this is the dilemma which you have in your daily life, right? Everybody wants change. You ask anybody, you want change. Teachers want change. Everybody wants change. But then when you say that, why don't you change? Nobody is interested in changing. Everybody wants it to be status quo for oneself, but they want the world to change around for their comfort. So this is something which happens even in an organization, right? No organization wants to change. They're very happy doing what they're doing. The more you do the same thing, you become more efficient, you make more money, right? But that doesn't happen in the real world. There is changes. There is changes every single day. The outside environment, you have to have the pulse of the environment in which you work, or you're going to have a very bad shocks as you go through. And this is a reality in the industry, and this is a reality in life. So the reason why I'm talking more from an industry perspective is that's more my what I've gone through, and I'm trying to relate it to you guys so that you can bring it to your lives and learn from that. We go to the next. Is there any questions? You seem to be a very silent audience. We used to interrupt the class, interrupt whoever used to speak very often. Now we go to the next part, and one of the most crucial part. Why change? I'm coming specifically from a company perspective. Why do you change? Huh?
Meet the market demand.
Okay. So you don't want to make money.
Money comes from market.
Good. Then, see, every company, this has been the experience throughout, right? Every single organization has to keep changing. Your processes, your people, you don't have the same set of people, correct? People keep changing. People change, the process undergoes a change, whether you like it or not, unless it is just pushing a button. Otherwise, the process has changed. So you always have to have a pulse on what is happening. How is each person attending to the job? So it changes. So you have to be ready to make those necessary changes to ensure that everything falls into the compliance requirement. This is very important when you get into an organization. Two is that your growth is defined by what you do and how the market reacts to you. These are the two things. And that's why I say, even when you're speaking, it has to be a two-way mode, right? Otherwise, there's no point in one person speaking always. So the organizations are very much impacted by the environment in which they perform, and they constantly change. So it's for those organizations to have in those DNA that change is inevitable and how they manage change. There are organizations where are huge set of departments which are only talking about change management, because there's always so much to change. And that's where industry is going towards. And that's where more successful organizations are structured that way, because they know that change is something which you need to do every single day, right? So the other thing which you need to do for change is because you need to attract talent. Today, nowadays, the biggest dilemma we face is, one is to attract talent, two is to recruit talent, three is to retain talent, and four is to train talent. These are the four things which is a constant issue in any organization you get into. Even the best of best, the Googles are also faced with the same issue. It's a big challenge. How do companies overcome these? They do it by constantly changing, evolving, and having that DNA of change which is ready with them. So that happens very often. So now let me go to the next one. Okay, I'll skip this, right? Now this is something which I want you to have more interaction when we are speaking about this. See, why is that is changed? Have you heard about any of these companies which are listed out here? Yes? Can you tell me what happened to Nokia?
They did not enough frequently change the market.
And what happened? So I don't know how many of you have used a Nokia phone, the old ones. Have you? Yeah? It's good. So they were one of the best in the market. They were growing exceptionally well. Their adaptation to smartphones was very late. They were almost pushed out of the market. If not for Microsoft taking it over, I think Nokia would have been dead by now. You have heard about the second one? Research in Motion was the fastest growing company at one point in time. Their business phones was so much in demand that every business executive wanted to carry a phone. This was not long back. This is just like 10, 12 years back. From then to today, this company is closed. Why? Not adapting to change. You know about Kodak? Tell me what it was until. And do you know why it flopped? Somebody from the back. I would like to know that. Your opinion, why Kodak flopped? You know why Kodak flopped? It's not just digital camera. There was a telephone revolution happening on the other end. Today, how many of you carry a camera in your bags? I think nobody. You all carry a phone, right? Kodak did not want it to get into a phone. They refused. Nokia approached them and they refused to make cameras for them. What happened? Change. And today you don't even hear the name of this company. This was the biggest camera company in the world. This is what change does. If you don't change, the change will change you, but then it will be out of your control. Now, I want you to list a couple of companies. I would start with you guys to come up with companies which have come out during the pandemic time and what they did right and why did they succeed. Someone? Geo, okay. I mean, yeah, of course, the internet, okay. Zoom, yes, you're right. Someone from here? Yeah, exactly. What happened? What happened, and why did Dunzo, or for example, okay, Geo is a different story. Why did Dunzo, Paytm, right? Your Zomato and Swiggy. Why do you think these things even exist? It's okay. Forget the fact that you become lazy. That's a different deal. But other than that, why do you think these companies are thriving? Oh, you're saying your people have got so much less time that they can't go to the restaurant and eat, and so it's a good idea that you're putting so much value on your time. But the fact is this: in the time when COVID happened, right? Zomato and Swiggy grew so much because there's no way you could get out of the house. So what did they do? They adapted to the change. Many of the organizations which didn't go online have perished today, right? It has happened to the best of the best. You look at what happened. What is your best pastime earlier, right? You would go to a mall, you window shop, you go into any cloth store, look at it, cameras, you name it, you just do that, right? How many of you have done that in that period of COVID? Almost nobody, right? Then how do you introduce your products? So I work for an organization which does a lot of these scanners, right? We had one of our best years in the last 2 years. The reason is every single company which were big in retail went online. E-commerce became the trend, right? Omni-channel fulfillment was the buzzword because they wanted your whole process to be very efficient to make these things available. So you imagine this: you're going from a physical store to an online store. Do you even imagine the amount of work they need to do to fulfill? You go to a retail store, right? You walk in with 30, 40 products at one point in time, and you need one POS machine to bill. That's how it is, right? You imagine what you do when you click onto Amazon or Flipkart. Every single order of yours is a job for a person. Their fulfillment point increases, their amount of packing increases. Then you need the T&L business improved. That's what we call. That is the transport and logistics. You call courier, right? That is now called a transport T&L companies. Their sales increased because you are ordering more. Their business increased. So these are all how things relate and change. There are certain things which change because certain things are windfalls, what we call as tailwinds in our business terms, because it pushes you forward without much of your effort. The others are headwinds which come in because they are against you. So you need to be careful about these. So what happened to retail mom and pop stores? They had severe headwinds during COVID. Their businesses dropped. This is so for many of the restaurants. Their businesses dropped. But what happened to those who are doing online fulfillment? Their business grew, right? Because people were fed up of, I wouldn't say fed up. Those who couldn't get good food at home had an option. You could go to Zomato or Swiggy or order your food. So those online guys grew because they were adapting to change. So keep this in mind. It's about what you do good, but it's about what you need to do to make the market work. That is the most important part. And it's not easy. And it has a lot of issues. The reason is change doesn't come easy to man. If you look at it, one of the previous slides, if anybody you check with them, if you want change, everybody will say yes. But if you want to change, it's very difficult for them to change. Right? With that, let's just go to a couple of more slides and let's see how you guys are interacting with this. Now, this is a diagram which depicts basically change, right? How do you change? It's not like you put on a new shirt and you change, right? There's a lot of other things which get into change. So imagine each one of this, and I would appreciate if you could tell me why each one of this is important in the change cycle. Go ahead.
Who in the sense they'll be searching for in what area we need the change.
Okay.
To change everything. The specific thing where we need to change must be searched over there. That's boom. And then what it is to be changed in the sense there are a set of segments to be changed. Because which must be affected. We need to follow that. That is what is the change.
I think you should give them a mic, otherwise it's difficult to speak.
So what is to be changed? And then external and internal in the sense that once we are done like what and who is to be changed, then we cannot directly go. We need people to accept, we need government to expect, and then we need to fulfill the external and internal requirements of the thing. But because it is different for different countries, it's very difficult for people to adapt whatever we bring along.
Good points. Hey, someone at the last, come on, man. Can you stand up and give me an example? It's easy speaking. Come on, let's see how you can give me an example. Anybody? Okay, so let's dwell a little bit more into this. So this is a diagram of change management. How do you change? Why is it difficult to change? It's difficult to change because it needs everybody to sign up saying that I need change. So you guys are sitting in the class today, right? Now you should you should know from my end, what is it that it benefits you if you sit through this class? It's similar to anybody in an organization as well. You need to tell that person how is it beneficial for him. Only then he will sign up for change. Your signing up for change is very difficult in an organization because you're changing the way they work. You're changing the way they look at work. So one of the most important things which you need is, for change, you need a change leader, one person who will be heading this entire change journey, right? The second part is that you need to identify the stakeholders who are going to be part of the team who go through these change cycle. They need to be on board, in the sense you need to get them sign up for this and say, this is how is this beneficial. The other thing which is very, very important for this is a new journey for you, right? You can only plan so much for Roadblocks. What actually comes as you go through this journey. And then these are not silos, okay? So you need to go through this journey, measure, take the feedbacks, again come back and start at the beginning. Otherwise, this change journey is very easy, very difficult to manage. And then comes the very important 3 C's of change. It's collaborate, communicate, and then commit. You need all of this to be happening to every single person who is a part of the change. Unless these are very clear and transparent, you will not find it easy to change. We have seen resistance in people. Even if you direct them that this is the way you need to work, they will not do it. And it becomes your job to go and monitor them on a daily basis, which is not viable. So you need every single person to sign up for this, and your entire team who's working with you to be very excited about this change journey. Unless you get this done, your change journey will not go well. Any questions on this? Oh, so you can change, right? Now you know to change. You can change? Yeah? You think this is very easy to change? Okay, so at least that's a good point that you say, you're understanding that it's not easy to change. I would ask you one other question. January 1st, what happens? New Year, right? Forget the partying and all that. What do you do every New Year? Now you get to that. What happens to that after a couple of weeks? That's a perfect example of why change is difficult. Because you take a resolution without even understanding what it means to keep the resolution up, right? So when you make a resolution, you need to know the downstream. I will have to do this. What happens if I don't do this, right? That's why most of it drops. It is the same in a change journey. There's no difference. If you sign up for something without understanding the terms and the challenges which it throws up at you, that's where it all ends, in the dustbin. You'll have a lot of PPTs, a lot of time wasted. You will never achieve your outcome. Your outcome can be achieved only if there is very planned action and everybody signs up for what you're doing. Okay, so we go to the next part. Now, this is more from a workplace perspective. It's not very different from what we discussed till now. It is more about what happens in a workplace. Now, when you look at all of this, today you might ask me, there is so much of systems. Why are we so much speaking about people? Without people, no change happens. It's not today, it's tomorrow, it's whatever happens. Unless every single person signs up, change does not happen. Your systems can only do that much. When you get into the real world, you realize all of this. Most of the time, what happens is your ERP, which is supposed to be the best business driver, is your biggest impediment, because to change costs so much of money. So when you are talking about organizations, always plan long term, because committing resources is one of the biggest issues which any organization get challenged with. Today, most of the apps, the ERPs, softwares that companies purchases are stopping them from growing because it takes so much of time and effort to change it. So don't think that you take an application or implement a software and that is going to work for you. It is not that easy. So if you want to be a changed leader, the reason I'm talking about this with such a lot of emphasis is because this is one of the most important part which you will be faced with when you get into an industry. How easy do you adapt to change? How open are you to change? Are you ready to learn and learn, assimilate, and go forward? Today's organization will ask you to do X plus something every single year. Don't expect them to say that I will only do this much. It's not like a curriculum. Someone designs, you study this, I write only this much, I get that much mark. It doesn't work that way. Every year you are challenged to do more than what you're doing. You will have to have a means to change yourself, learn as you go, reduce your number of tasks, and keep doing more and more. You're in the best phase of your life because you know what you need to study. You know what you can get if you do this. It changes a lot when you get into the industry. A lot is unknown. You should be ready to change and move on. As I said, we initially started off in our organization with 7 people managing just India and Sri Lanka. And in the last 3 years, there is so much added, there's no resource added. It happens in every single organization. Unless you are ready to change and be the change, your journey is going to be very difficult. This is something which I wanted to emphasize on. Now, how do you change? This is the other part. This is more theory, but you need to understand this. Why is this important? Is because like anything, there is a process for any madness. You need to understand the process behind the madness, then you can really work with it quite easily, right? You've heard this, right? The process behind the madness. And change is a madness for a lot of people. But if you understand what goes behind it, I think this can be a much better way for you to address it. So first and foremost, in change, in any other thing, you will see plan. In change, you will always see engage. This is the big difference you will see. You see engage because unless and until you engage every single employee who is part of the change, your change journey is going to be impossible. You engage, you get feedback from the ground level, you be very clear on what needs to change, you plan how to change, you implement. It doesn't stop there. You implement, you measure, you keep coming back to the engage phase again and again. This is how the holistic change happens. Your feedbacks should be you need to have a feedback mechanism of what is happening when you're implementing a change. So these are the steps which is being done. It's more something for you to read. There's nothing much to talk about this, but every single step is very intense. It takes a lot of resource, takes a lot of your time. So when you get from your phase of studying to an industry, the most important thing is time. You need to know, there's a concept which is called multitasking, right? You always keep hearing about it. You think, okay, watching a movie, reading, listening to songs is multitasking. Yeah, I used to do that during my days. But when you get into an organization, you find that you will have to do multiple jobs at the same time to get it done. So that is time management. So you're phasing from here to getting into an organization. Be prepared for all of this. I'm not trying to scare you, but that's the real world. Yeah. So and more so today, because I think most of you wouldn't want to work, right? You would want to become an entrepreneur, start your own organization, do something. And that, my dear friends, is the most difficult challenge you can ever take. And it's a very good challenge if you can take it, because that is going to be, that is one place where you will adapt this wholeheartedly, because without this, you will not survive. So if you're looking at starting your career, getting into a job, or starting your own company or organization, whatever it may be, please be mindful that change management would be one of your biggest tick mark which you will have to carry with you. Unless you subscribe to this, understand this, and be prepared to implement it, you will have a lot of challenges getting ahead in life. Right? So this is a very important part. You may think, what is a chartered accountant talking about change management, right? And this is one of the things which you may be having on your mind. But what happens is every single change management will have a leader who does it. And generally what happens is it will be taken from a field which is the field in which it is done. That is because you will have a very pragmatic view of what is happening. Somebody who's already in the system will find it very difficult to change. Someone from outside can change, look at change, or say this is what needs to be changing very easily. So they generally take somebody outside, and they come to finance because we control the budget. So you end up in most of these initiatives. So that is why I'm talking so much about this, because once you get into the industry, right, this is what will be your biggest driver. All your technical knowledge, all that you should know how to implement it. And that will be your differentiator. You will work across companies, across verticals, across industries, I hope across geographies as well. What will stand you in good stead is this ability to change. Ability to change doesn't mean you leave whatever you have and then go embrace something else. No, it's about how good you are with how confident you are, which will give you that much more advantage in adapting yourself to the real world. So this is something which is very important in your life. Student life is the best time which you can. You can afford to sit at the back bench and do what you want. When you get into the organization, you need to scrambling for the position up front, right? That's the difference which you will see when you go from here to there. Get all your skill set which is necessary in the colleges and schools, which is the best place for you to learn. You'll have all your friends together who are not working against you. Mind that happens a lot in the organizations. So this is a place where you can learn and learn well. Do that well. And this is the other thing. The change will come, whether you like it or not. Be prepared for it. I have a few more slides, but these are all basically about more and more about how you manage and what you do with change. But I think this is what the message I wanted to give from an organization perspective, and for your life as students. This change management would be one of the most important part in your lives as you get and go ahead, right? I will leave you with a few models. I mean, every single catchphrase, right? Change management, core capacity, all of this will have a lot of people champions for all of this. And each one will come and give his own theory. More or less, they will all end up with what I just said. I've just tried to pull everything together. There are different models. You can look this up in the net. So if you want to know who coined this word change management, it was, I forget his name, some Lewis is. So that is the person who started coining this word. And this was way back in 1921. It's not a new thing. And we are still talking about it. So just imagine how relevant this whole thing is for organizations. So these are one of the top so-called models for change management. You can go through this, read this, and always understand it is how you adapt what you learn to real life, which is going to be a differentiator. Now you read a newspaper, right? Everybody talks about the academia and the industry. There is so much of gap. The gap is only this. How do you apply what you learn to your given situation? Then that is part of what you need. That is part of your change management. You learn, you go from point A to point B, and that's going to be your mantra for success as well. How do you implement what you have learned? That is going to be your keyword. And this is what the entire world is talking about, the difference between what the academics and the industry is talking about. We have a lot of challenges. I'm not saying it is no, but this is primarily that the attitude to change, the ability to change, and the ability to manage change. So I will leave you with these words. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was very informative session. Okay. So can anyone come up on stage and give feedback on what you have learned in the session or what you think about the session? Anyone? Or if you have any questions, you can go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, sir, for a wonderful session. I just have a question to you that at a certain point in your life when you are doing chartered accountancy, you might have faced some difficulty.